All right, here's part two of the next thing I'm working on. Um, this is a work in progress. We're just going to do a little bit on it tonight. This piece is called Between Two Worlds. It's made of found objects. I have these records that I painted. I was testing out some early without silicone acrylic pour painting, and then I have a previous technique I used to do where I just kind of slopped paint on these things and wung them across the yard. Aaron Schinkel of Dream into Design actually kind of developed that technique with me. I'm not sure who did more of it, the developing, me or him. I'd be willing to say it was him. I'm not sure. It's not a very complicated technique. It was one of those art nights where I used to invite people to my old studio and then just do whatever art was laying around. And we had all these records that we could paint. So I threw paint on them and flung them like Frisbees. I was originally trying to do it with a record player, so it got kind of like a spin art effect to it. And the record player we're using didn't work. I think it was Schinkel that decided maybe just to sling it across the yard, as long as it lands in soft grass and not. But anyways, I had a bunch of these painted records laying around. I had some extra paint when I was doing acrylic pour. Right now, this Barbie is just kind of hanging out there, glued by the paint itself. I want to drill some holes and put some wire and everything. But I'm making a quasi-creationist piece here. These little drips and drops I thought kind of looked a bit planetary. This was the boards that I laid some stuff on when I was trying out acrylic pour. So I had a few extra drops here and there. I thought these two things looked like space. And then these look like planets, and then I put her between the two planets. If you notice, the intersection of the two worlds would be where her womb is. And then you'll see kind of like a silvery stippled paint job and an actual bits of mirror in here. That was done by Sheena Zilla, another friend of mine. Her son, Aiden, is one of the people that's helped me build several of my large installations at Ingenuity. So if we're going to be stealing Christian symbolism here, one of the things I want to do is make this a crossbar. I'd like to put two more worlds on this side, dig into my old record paintings, and make it a cross. Now, I had an idea of building up like a gold frame in the back and putting some more in the rear, but I think that might be doing too much to this, especially considering no one's going to ever see the rear. But you know what? And this happens all the time. I'm going to write this down. I get ideas for works as I'm working. This one is one of my many creations where it goes along with my manic mood. I'll get into an art zone and just kind of manically keep piecing things together until I develop a piece that has a statement. It's kind of hard to see in the corner. I'm not sure it can be seen. But you can see a few of my pieces are a lot like that, especially this one, where I kind of had a pile of stuff laying on a table and just kept piecing them together. If you check the A-Man's page under the assemblages photo album, I believe, you might see some of the Bratz heads, the Angel of Destructicon. The one I just pointed at was called Cut the Cord. It's kind of a marionette off of an old TV, Tickle Me Elmo body with a crucifix as the cross for making the marionette, and then red and blue wires, sort of like your veins. It looks a lot better when it can hang. And then it's got this umbilical cord that's a cut cable cord. And an American flag out just to make a bit of a commentary on American consumerism. So what I want to do is lay the crossbar so that her hands kind of flow on it, which originally what I was going to do was try to center it a third of the way down, like the average crossbar for a cross. But then I realized, especially after I had already made it a point to center the worlds upon her womb, that I should make the crossbar. I'm still kind of deciding if I want to put it in the same, like center it on her womb like I did the other two planets, so the other planets on these sides laying up, or put on her arm so she kind of points at them. We'll see what comes up visually. But this wasn't a pre-planned piece originally. This was a piece that I started manically putting together and then developed more ideas to go with it later. So this is clearly a collaborative piece. Most of the stuff I do, I almost always have someone who does one bit or piece of it. But I told you I was going to write down an idea. Now I'm going to blow my nose, so you'll have to apologize to me. Apologize. I'll have to apologize. One of those words. As I step up to do that. Yeah, it took a few more minutes because I grabbed a drink. Spice Drum and Coke. Because if you're going to do art, you might as well do it inebriated and carrying on the long tradition of artists worldwide in dealing with their mental illnesses by substance abuse. I feel like I've marked this out before. Now, here's one thing I'm real ashamed of is I'm going to kind of cover up this stuff, but I think I kept the best of it. And if you see this part here where the paint peeled off, I have a feeling that's because these were stuck together just by the paint alone at one point. All right. Somebody's hair is on there too. Now, it may not seem like it's important for this to be so fine-tuned, but all right. Since I'm going to be working in silent for a while, I'm turning back on my Aquatine, so good luck listening to me. I'm going to take some fine measurements to try to see what I wanted to do for placement. I'm excited. 35 divided by 3, if it's going to go a third, that's 11 2/3. This is 12 inches wide. So if I come 11 2/3 down, what the hell is 2/3 of an inch? 4/6. 11 2/3. 8. Trying to do math in my head. 8. 2.5. We're going to round it off and say 6 inches. Let me see where I put those. Now, if I do that, it is plus signed, but it seems really heavily weighted towards the bottom. So basically, I'm making a collage found object painting. Collage, I guess collage would be more paper. It's a found object. I guess it doesn't have to be paper. It's collage. We're arguing over the terminology here. Now, let's see if I put this where her room is. $13 3/4. And if I 13 3/4. So let's see what happens if I saturate the on her mold. Let's see if it's centered this way. 12.5 inches. Damn it. Quite centered if I do it that way. the 11 3/4. Close enough. Yeah, I was looking at putting 2 more records there. I wonder if I could extend them out to the sides. All right, let me see if I have screws that will go through this without cutting. Too long. All right, I found some screws. Now, I put some screws to the front because they can also pretend to be something similar to the they'll be similar to, God damn it, what the hell am I thinking of? Stars. I'm thinking of putting one right where her belly button is. Kind of like another thing. I'm debating on wrapping some wire around that or not. All right, let's do the back. Really bad habit to keep sticking the screws in my damn mouth, especially with this virus going. Wow, that looks really wrong. Oh, you know what? I know why. Well, now we have a cross shape. Next would be some wiring. I spend most of my time when I'm creating stuff just looking for tools. want a couple of screws for that. One for that. Come on, stop poking the damn paint, man. Add a little bit of industrial tech to it by putting some screws in there. And then continue the crucifixion metaphor. Hello.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a lot of wire twisted onto this guy. Kind of just connecting it, and a little bit of a bondage theme, also kind of a star thing going on there. But I want to put a little glue into the screws so they hold better. So I'm going to use the E6000 Asking a Crafter. And I'll tell you, this stuff is the go-to. All right. So I'm gonna look up some notes to see if there's any more alterations. But the next thing I want to do is I think I want to paint some of that nail polish. Let's see, where did I put that? This paint isn't sticking very well. I'm beginning to be a much bigger fan of this stuff. It certainly seals in stuff a lot better than that acrylic sealant because I've already sprayed this and it's chipping off. And I need more of a hard top coat. All right, let's call this one there. I think you guys are getting bored of this. A lot of quiet time on this one.